Today's episode of Dungeon Crawlers Radio is brought to you by Gamers Inn, your one-stop location for all your gaming needs. Located in Lehigh City, Utah, their fun and friendly staff will be more than happy to answer any of your gaming needs. Just remember, Gamers Inn, it's where adventures begin.
It's time to power up.
Autobots, roll out!
Broadcasting live from the DCR studio.
Oh yeah!
The Geek Revolution starts here.
Excellent!
Get ready for the #1 hit geek radio show out there.
Well, it is impressive, isn't it?
Because it's time for Dungeon Crawlers Radio.
Let's get ready to rumble!
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
Alright, everyone, welcome to another episode of Dungeon Crawlers, where we're going to talk about Spider-Man. Spider-Man Homecoming. Now, what we're going to probably do is we're going to give a non-spoiler version and a spoiler version. So if you're listening to the non-spoiler version, that's great, because if you haven't seen the movie, this is perfect. If you're listening to the spoiler version, well, you're in trouble.
Do we want to do one right after the other? Like, so
Yeah.
it's one show?
Well, no, it's going to be two. I'll break it up into two, but
Okay.
it'll be one.
Okay.
Let's start with a spoiler just to get
Non-spoiler first.
Non-spoiler. We're kinder than Lucasfilm.
I am not. I like to spoil everything.
Oh, yeah. We are, because it's after the movie's out, not before it comes out.
Or
Anyway.
It's been at least a day.
Yes, it's been more than
been more
7 hours
Yeah.
since it's been released. So
So, Spider-Man Homecoming.
Pretty good. Not great, but pretty good.
No, yeah, I agree. Pretty good, but not great. I mean, it wasn't amazing. It wasn't spectacular. It was pretty good.
See,
I thought it was amazing.
I would disagree. I'm going.
It
right
wasn't
back with
amazing.
amazing.
It
I would
wasn't
say
amazing.
This wasn't
This was
amazing.
Spider-Man
Hold on,
Homecoming.
hold on.
This
You
wasn't
have to
amazing
listen.
Spider-Man.
You cannot just keep
This
talking.
was Spider-Man Homecoming.
This was an amazing Spider-Man, in my point of view. What would you say?
It was amazing. It was awesome. I like the fact they actually made him not instantaneously know how to use his abilities. Like, they actually built you a character, a superhero that doesn't have the powers, and look, I can use them immediately with, like, no training.
That's how it was in the comics.
Well, the only other time you see that's with Green Lantern, when he's messing up all of his stuff.
True.
So you don't see that. You don't ever see the character, like, develop into being a hero. He's trying to jump the gun, realizes he can't do it, and takes himself accountability. I think it was awesome.
Go Web Go. He had to learn that. He didn't
Okay.
just know how it
No.
That was
Come on,
hilarious. That was
That's still
hilarious.
always one of my favorites.
No.
Like,
Horrible.
I thought it was hilarious.
And
It was, except for he didn't have web shooters. Spider-Man has
No,
web
well, no.
shooters.
Okay,
Okay,
hold
now,
on.
that's a whole thing, and that should be for spoiler stuff, right? We're not gonna.
No, that's Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Yeah, that was from the
organic
last
is
movie.
good Spider-Man.
No.
Because otherwise, this is my problem with these Spider-Mans now. It's like, anyone can be Spider-Man. It doesn't make him special. You saw Ned...
Turn his down. Lean it. Right there. That's good.
My bad.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was supposed to be straight
I
up.
just
No,
feel like
it is, but
takes away
he's away.
from the superhero aspect of Spider-Man. It's like...
No, that was the beauty of Spider-Man is he would run out of web fluid and he had to come up with creative ways to get around or to defeat people because he ran out.
That's a hero. That's Batman and Iron Man. I don't want that. We've seen it enough. I want the superpower, and he has it always.
No,
Like, it's
he
so
has.
much
He does
better.
have the superpower. He's super strong. He has his
Clearly
spider
not even that.
senses.
He was like strong enough in Civil War, but then in Homecoming, he was like, I can't lift this rock off me.
Hold on. I have a question for you then, Daniel. So are you basing this off of the original comics because it kind of deterred from the original comics?
I'm basing it off of everything with Spider-Man.
So are you saying that
There's
by
like 19
retelling the
different
story, they
Spider-Mans.
have to retell the exact story?
No,
Is that what you're saying?
no,
Because that's what
I'm-
you said the
no,
opposite of
I'm
when we were
saying-
talking about Disney reboots.
No, that's
You
not
said
exactly
you
what
can't
I'm
just
saying.
retell the exact same story again and again and again because it gets boring. So now that we're getting Earth 7 Spider-Man, it sounds like you don't like that because it's deterring from
No,
the original
what I
story.
don't. The things that I don't like were Flash and MJ.
What's wrong with Flash?
Not
He's a
Flash.
bully.
He's not Flash Thompson.
Was he?
He wasn't.
He was...
Flash Thompson.
5-year-olds maybe. It was
Flash
like,
Thompson.
Parker, like, who the freak is gonna
It's-
laugh at that?
It's
laughs
applying
at
to
peanuts, right?
millennials. It's current age. They
It is.
brought him to current
Flash
he was current
Flash
modern.
Thompson is a football jock. That's why he beat up on Peter, because he was a science geek chess nerd. Flash wasn't that. He was on the debate team. He was in the chess team. He was small. He wasn't imposing. He was just saying Penis Parker all the time.
He was not Earth 1 Flash. He was Earth 7, and I actually appreciated this interpretation of him.
Flash Thompson, actually, if you look in the multiverse, is the same. He's always been the jerk in every iteration of Spider-Man. He's always been the football jock jerk.
But what we're saying is, in this iteration, he's not, and this is a
And he's
Spider-Man.
not a jerk. He's not even. He's not. I mean, he wasn't even.
To be a jerk, but I'm like, I don't care about you. Like,
Yeah, he wasn't. He wasn't even a good foil for Peter, and that's who was. He was a foil for Peter in his high school years. He was the guy that beat up and picked on Peter, but was idolized Spider-Man. We don't see that in this Flash Thompson.
No, I don't.
MJ. Oh.
It's just, I think it was just Marvel just being like, screw you to anyone who wants to think. I still think Mary Jane is still out there, and we'll see later.
Yeah.
I hope so. But the whole Michelle thing
I don't like the Michelle
was
thing.
dumb. I didn't like
it.
it.
More of a throw-out.
The fact that,
oh, by the way, MJ.
Yeah, the fact that they never really said her name till the very end, and she's like, "Oh no, call me MJ." It was like, really?
Wait, isn't that kind of a spoiler right there?
No. It was said everywhere.
People,
she was cast
people
as
freaked
MJ.
out about it already anyway, so they knew.
That's
they knew
not.
what they were getting into. I did love Michael Keaton's Vulture.
Oh my
One
gosh.
of my favorite things.
I will
The
agree.
Vulture was pretty awesome.
Vulture was done amazingly well.
And at first,
And Michael Keaton is that character beautiful.
it was, and it was good. Like I like his reasons for becoming a fake bad guy, real bad guy, whatever you want to call him.
I was
Those
actually
were
rooting for him.
legitimate. That's
I
the
was
same as the
rooting for
comic.
him. I was actually on his
For the
side
bad
in
guy,
that.
you gotta be
Oh no, I was rooting for him. He's trying to take care of his family. The big government man comes
Initially.
in and takes away the business. I mean, come on.
I mean, that was the new twist. I mean, but that it has been the Vulture story. Is he stole to provide for his family and continue his business.
Well, except in the cartoon where he stole for eternal life. And
Well,
everlasting
that
youth, but-
later on he got cancer because of his equipment, and then he was doing that. But that was one of the things I really liked. The very first villain Spider-Man ever faced was the Vulture, and here we go. Start off this new movie series with the Vulture. So it was a good setting. We got the Shocker in there showing up, which was fantastic.
Hey, that's a spoiler. That's what I was gonna say. I was like, no wait, I can't say that.
That's not
I
it.
do like,
That's not it.
and I like how they didn't like throw every villain out there in your face crazy. They've built up that there will be multiple.
Well,
villains.
we saw the Shocker. We saw Scorpion.
But again, they didn't have.
wasn't-
them
No,
really
no,
doing
they weren't there.
anything yet.
It was
still
the
building
building
towards that.
blocks towards them.
Which I really like too, because I'm like, all right, cool. It's mainly focused on Vulture. There's a little Shocker.
Yeah.
Which I thought was cool too, because they had the little jacket with the yellow arms. And I'm like, cool.
Yeah, that was kind of a fun throwback.
Oh crap! I forgot what I was gonna say. About
Shocker was cool. Vulture. They didn't overdo any of the villains.
No, I
just
like
did
they
little
didn't overdo the villains. There was one villain, and then we had a guy that was building up to be a villain. That was his henchman.
Well, technically, there's two villains. There was that, and then there was high school, because
high school is a
this
villain
was like
itself.
as much of just about Peter Parker as it was about Spider-Man fighting his villains. So, sorry, I'm just throwing that.
Well,
out
no,
there. Go
that's
on.
true, because when he first starts out, he's dealing with trouble with balancing high school life, and that's what Spider-Man has always had trouble with, balancing life and superhero land. So, they did it again.
And one thing, sorry, I was gonna say, so that's what's the difference. This Spider-Man movie, obviously very Marvel-esque because it's tying into the whole Marvel universe now.
Yeah.
That's something that with the previous Spider-Man movies, it was standalone Spider-Man, that's it. This one, you felt Iron Man's presence throughout the whole movie.
And
even though
Cap.
I
And Cap,
I
in a
loved
very
Captain
interesting
America.
way.
thrown in, randomly with whatever they were, school videos. But so that it was cool to
I
me,
don't-
but it also kind of took me out of the Spider-Man story and more just into the Marvel's whole story around, which I enjoyed at times, but other times I was like, I kind of just wish I was watching Spider-Man right now, not thinking about, okay, he wants to become Avenger.
I don't know if we can do a non-spoiler spoiler review. There's so many things I want to say now.
Okay, on that though, I do want to say, because everybody
I'm
knows
just gonna
that
say,
Tony
screw
is
it.
in there.
This is gonna be a spoiler one from
Okay,
this
guys,
point
this
on.
is spoiler,
It's already-
caution.
It's gonna be
Caution.
tagged spoiler. I just can't.
I want to jump in there real quick for Tony. and how they brought in Tony Stark / Iron Man.
I think he did a good
didn't
balance
feel-
on him.
Yeah, exactly. I was really worried that they're gonna either overdo him or he's gonna have literally 30 seconds. Of
The
screen time
commercials
and be
made it
done.
look like he was going to be running the film, so that's what I kept reading, is that Tony Stark was an Iron Man movie, but
No.
I love how they brought him in. They introduced the correct suits, so you know what's coming on because he's not there, but he's there. And yes, you hacked my suit, but guess what? I still know where you are. Nice try, kid. Like, it was awesome.
It was awesome. It was very well done, well balanced.
No, it was. Happy was annoying.
I think
beyond
Happy was
belief.
supposed to be.
I know he was supposed to be, but it's like, really, Jon Favreau, you just wanted a part, so you're going to play a
It still
doofus?
seemed like a big enough part. Like, it wasn't just a haha cameo. It was
Yeah.
like, he's kind of the main person that Peter always goes to with everything. I'm like,
Babysitter.
it's a little weird.
It was. It really was.
Another thing that saddens me that I get, we've seen Uncle Ben die, and we don't need to see it again. But without that in the Spider-Man story, like, I didn't feel like there was a very emotional part in this.
We're
Spider-Man
starting after
movie.
that.
I know.
I know, but
They
that's
did.
what,
They
like-
did jump later, but there isn't that emotion.
Like, with Spider-Man, you always kind of feel that sadness with his struggle too, and in this, I just didn't feel that.
Well, not only that, I don't even think we once heard the slogan that is with
They
Spider-Man.
did. He tried. They fake tried to do it in Civil War.
Yeah.
and it was
Which
like, if
one?
You can do those things.
With great
and
power comes
Oh.
great responsibility.
It's because I don't think they're allowed to. I think that's part of the restrictions.
If that's
Is
true,
that
that
part
may
of
be
the
fair.
restriction?
That could
That
be
and
fair.
Uncle Ben.
And,
Really?
See,
That's
and
what I heard.
Too, but like, the fact
I just
that
thought they didn't wanna
mention,
overdo
like,
it.
him
No,
talking
it's-
to his aunt. It never seemed like they had that. Hey, we both experienced this person
I
dying.
kn-
It
well,
brought hardship
okay,
to
even
both of
that-
us.
Young Aunt May doesn't work for me.
It is
She's
a little
she
weird,
looks
but-
too young. I think she's the right age. The actress herself is the right age. She just is super
Age-wise-
young looking.
Age-wise, maybe, but she doesn't fit. I mean, whenever we see Spider-Man, Aunt May is an old woman.
It's true.
Silver hair or white hair, she's old.
Even though she might be out doing these amazing adventures like we see in the cartoon series, the more recent one, but
Yeah.
She's still old.
Well, even Ultimate Spider-Man, she still has kind of a silverish colored hair, and yeah, she's kind of more of a upbeat modern thing, but there's still kind of that feel of an older Aunt May, and then Marissa Tomei, it just doesn't do it.
It was weird because normally I'm like, Aunt May, the sweet, like loving
And
figure.
they-
Right now I'm like, she's kind of the cool hit mom. That's
Well, and then they put her in weird,
Can't.
giant glasses. Just,
Iron Man kept making inappropriate jokes, even though he's clearly still with whatever Gwyneth Paltrow's character's name.
Pepper.
Pepper Potts,
Pepper, yeah.
which I thought was
So-
fantastic.
I love
she
that
showed
didn't
up.
get blown.
Such a
Like
spoiler right
usually
there.
spoilers go
That's why we
everywhere on
said
the internet.
Spoiler. I just said screw it. Spoiler.
Like that one you would have expected, because even with the pirates, you knew that she was coming in at the end. You expected to see the girl, but this one you didn't expect Pepper Potts at the end, because everybody was complaining that she was gone from the series completely.
Well, and she had said she was done.
Hence why they broke off her and Tony's relationship.
Yeah. So I
They
think
did,
it's
but they
fan-
didn't.
Now they just threw in they're getting
And-
engaged.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the big
Bam.
announcement that they led to? So.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah, except now
I
Iron
do-
Man's going to be married.
That's why I was just like, why
That's
are you hitting
okay.
on Aunt
That's
Aunt
okay.
May then?
I don't think they're
love-
getting married because she kind of shut that down,
Yeah.
and he was just telling Happy to keep trying to run with it. So that's Tony in the back trying to
enough.
push it.
I do love how Jon Favreau's the one that's like, I've had this since this other year. I'm like, yeah,
2008.
I bet you that was in there.
Yeah. There's a lot of little things. I mean, like right after you see the first Cap video when they're in the gym and the coach walks off. Well, this guy's pretty much a war criminal now, so I don't know if I'm supposed to be watching these, but the school district tells me I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
So I love, besides the intro film that we see by Peter Parker, we know exactly where in the timeline this movie sits, which is great.
Yeah, you can kind of play it out. That intro video was awesome, though.
That
You can
was-
tell he's such a teenager.
Probably
They
my
built him
favorite
to
part.
a modern-day teenager, what you would expect from a current teenager.
Yeah, for Peter Parker, that's probably my favorite jokes from him. That's the other sad thing that I think I took away from this movie. It was funny almost the whole time, but my three favorite jokes weren't even Peter Parker's.
Yeah.
It was Ned once when he dropped Death Star. It just bummed me out.
Oh, I know.
How long that takes to make. And
That
so
was not
seeing
just
it
the
break-
skeleton. He said the skeleton base. That was not
Yeah,
just
I
a
know.
skeleton. That was nearly a complete Death Star.
Yeah.
Did it bother anyone else?
Yeah.
And I laughed at that. And then when the field trip guy's like, I can't lose another kid on
Yeah,
field
no, that
trip.
was
I'm-
hilarious.
I'm dying in the theater. So fun. But I was like, I just laughed at stuff that wasn't even like Peter's parts. And I'm like, he had a lot of funny stuff, but overall, like the funny parts to me weren't even him.
Well, the other thing that kind of bugged me is we kind of got a lot of wisecracker Spider-Man in Civil War. I don't feel like we got that in this one.
Well, he's bragging about it. He's trying to build up, look what I did. I said this to him and like stuff like that. But then you're taking somebody who's from a masked to an unmasked character. That mask, that costume can do a lot to a person. You also put him in a whole new scenario where he's like, ooh, I'm this big badass. Then threw him back in high school and stopped giving him anything, where he's dealing with the high school bullies.
Yeah.
Nobody knows who he is. He can't tell anybody about all these cool things he's done. And he's back into his realm
that's
of not
still
being
always
that.
been Spider-Man, is being a wise cracker.
And we got it in the ATM machine room.
Yes.
And that's what. Then I feel like it died off
Yeah,
a lot.
I do.
Because that's what I was thinking when someone's like, "Well, what was your favorite like Spider-Man joke?" And I was trying to think, and I'm like, I remember the ATM stuff being really funny, but then I don't remember him making many jokes.
Yeah, he didn't really make many after
He was too busy trying to prove himself because he was fighting to get Happy's
When you
attention.
said point the gun at me, that's pretty brave. I'm like, yeah, that is, but that's not funny. That wasn't a quirk or anything. I'm like, Spider-Man would have had like some type of joke, but I mean, it was still funny. I was just thinking he wasn't the funniest part of it.
Yeah,
Or the interrogation.
It definitely was a good movie. I enjoyed it. Literally, the only two takeaway things I have from it that were just down for me were Flash and MJ. Because with this new Flash, we're not going to be able to get Agent Venom.
Or they'll do it a different way.
Or
they could, I don't know.
But
It would be
again,
weird
I
if
know
they did,
Sony
but
still owns Venom.
That's true too.
Well,
Yeah,
if
Tom Hardy Venom.
so,
and they're doing a Venom movie. So
They're doing a Venom
Tom
movie
Hardy's going to be Eddie
with-
Brock and his there's going to be She-Venom in there too.
well,
which
that's
would be
actually tied
fantastic.
with Marvel, from what I understand. They're using Tom Holland.
No, it's
Andrew Garfield?
Tom Hardy. will
No,
be Eddie
Tom
Brock.
Holland is coming in as Spider-Man.
As far as we know, Spider-Man will not be in there.
Tried it every day, and they've
That's
still
what I
never said-
heard. I've been watching IMDb and stuff like that too, but that's what I was
There's a rumor
told.
that they're going with the Ultimate Spider-Man storyline with Venom.
Which
so,
would make sense
which
more
would
because they
be
don't
where the
have
Venom
Spider-Man
symbiote was
was
created
in a lab, yeah. So that's how
by
they go about it.
Eddie Brock's father and Richard Parker, which
Yeah.
is Peter's. So it sounds like that the Venom is in the Ultimate Spider-Man universe. So it will be separate.
That's what I heard the other day, actually. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
I don't know.
I've heard both
It
storylines
would
on
be
it.
interesting. It would
could
be
that
interesting.
they bring in all three Spider-Mans. You never
I don't
would
know.
love to see
Marvel's
that.
pretty good
They're
at keeping
talking about all these
secrets,
different Earths and
so
all
They
that
can
would
with
be-
Doctor Strange. I mean, it would be cool to. pull
well,
them
and
all
they're
together.
rebooting all of them again at the end of Infinity. You're
They
getting
are.
a whole new storyline, so they may not have enough time to even give everything in Spider-Man that you're looking for before everything twists
Well,
and turns.
Not to mention the Sony leaks. They actually were talking about bringing in both of the Spider-Man at that point into a single movie, the Amazing and the Incredible, like bringing those two together. And so
That would be cool.
Interesting.
I'd like to
I
see
want
that.
Spider-Man dimensions. So I can have like Spider-Man has some.
No, I mean,
Spider-Man Iron Man suit.
the movie got
that
started off to a
Iron
great
Spider.
start with the original Spider-Man theme, kind of mixed in with the Marvel shuffle. I
I want
enjoyed
that as
that.
my ringtone. Actually, is that available online?
I don't know. We might have to check.
It probably is.
But I mean, overall, it was a good book. The Vulture was great. Michael Keaton did a great job. It felt like a little bit of Michael Keaton Batman with a side of Jack Nicholson Joker thrown in.
Yeah, I thought he did a terrific job. The little twist. That's something to me. And I guess we're doing spoilers. So when you guys found out he was Liz's dad, was that really a shock to you
No.
guys? I felt like at the beginning of the movie, because I swear he said, I'm doing this for my daughter, and I immediately thought, okay, so it's one of Peter's friends, and I assume it'll be the one he falls in love with. And then it happened, and everyone like freaked out in the theater. I'm like,
Oh,
felt like that was
my son
pretty
was like, "Holy
obvious.
crap!" And I'm like, "And thus the twist in the plot." And he's like, "Did you know this?" I'm like, "Yep."
Kinda figured that out
already
early
saw
on.
that coming.
That's why I was so
Yeah.
confused, because I'm like, I thought it was pretty obvious, guys, but everyone else seemed shocked. So I'm like, all right, maybe I'm just good at guessing.
I have
but-
mixed feelings about that, because on the one hand, like, as soon as it happened, I'm just like, and there's the writer. Like, I felt like I was in the movie, and that kind of pulled me out of the movie just because that was such an incredible coincidence. I actually thought he had shown up as the Vulture and kidnapped Spider-Man's girlfriend.
Oh.
And that he was like, "Ha, Parker, I figured out who you were already." Like,
Like you know the basic story structure.
They
You have
always
the
figure out who Peter
complication,
Parker is.
You have the twist. Yeah, I mean, and that was the twist.
Yeah.
He shows up.
I mean, I
and
liked
ta-da.
it.
And
Just-
then as they're driving, having their normal daddy-daughter Peter conversation, driving to it, the dad starts picking apart.
Well, daughter rats him out
Well, I mean, pretty much the daughter rats him out
without even knowing
without
it.
even knowing it, and the dad's just like,
That's why your
uh-huh,
voice is familiar.
Because at first it's like, yeah, that first thing.
This
Your
was
voice
so
is
much
familiar.
easier than I thought it was gonna be.
Sorry, so when you said that was another thing I guess that I didn't like about the film. So this is young 15-year-old Peter Parker, and literally half the people that shouldn't know that he's Spider-Man already do.
Okay.
And it's gonna be a problem.
Now I remember there's a third thing. The mask came off again. I hate
Spider-Man never wears his mask. I was watching
Spider-Man always wears his mask.
No, not in the movies. The Andrew Garfield one, his mask's off all the time
That's
too.
The thing I hate about the
People wanted to
movies.
see Andrew Garfield's pretty face.
Yes.
In the movies, his mask doesn't stay on.
In the cartoons, that is always Spider-Man protects who he is. Like it's like his number one rule. No one can ever see who he is because otherwise his family and friends can get harmed because what happened with Uncle Ben. So that has always been the core of Spider-Man. And in these movies,
why Civil War in the comic book was so intense.
And that's why it was intense. He unmasked himself on national TV next to Iron Man. And that's the thing I hate about the movies. It's like there's Tobey Maguire was the worst. The mask was either getting burned right away or getting pulled off all the time.
He was until the third movie.
That's true. He did keep a better secret.
Like, he at least still hid from people. Like,
no.
Everyone's seeing.
Are you kidding me?
No one
Tobey
knew
Maguire?
Yeah.
Well, Mary Jane.
Do you not remember the subway incident? He's on the front, rips it off.
Was that the third one or the second?
That was the second one. And then they're palming him overhead.
They gave him his mask and they said, "We'll keep your secret." So you just had to trust those people. And they did it. But Aunt May didn't know. Mary Jane didn't know.
Aunt May knows now.
No, at the very
Or in theory, we don't know how they're going to build that up as some sort of joke, though, too.
No,
with his powers, Spider Sense apparently is not there.
Yeah, no,
Spider Sense.
There is no Spider Sense in Homecoming.
Well, he's a teenager. He's a teenage kid.
That is not something they have included in this character.
Spider Sense is like his one of three real powers.
That is actually something that everyone has been complaining about with this movie.
He didn't know Ned was sitting in his bed while he's crawling on it. He didn't know Aunt May was in the room right behind him while he's trying to shoot.
That is the major complaint with Spider-Man Homecoming. This version of Spider-Man, he does not have Spider Sense. There seems to be a lack of the Spidey Sense, which always warns him of danger. And Ned is not there. Because otherwise he would have known Ned was there. He would have known Aunt May was there and everything else.
Like, the trap is like...
Let alone that someone was going to hit him with that anti-grav gun and stuff like that. So there isn't a Spidey sense.
That's what, again, like, just with this movie, it was cool, but, like, all his powers that make him superhero weren't really there. It was, here's all this cool stuff a suit can do.
Yeah.
Is it bad that I kind of enjoyed the fact that the Spidey sense wasn't there? Like, I miss it as a Spider-Man fan, but at the same time, like, I enjoyed that sense of danger that all of a sudden there wasn't this like in the cartoon.
Even though he has the Spidey sense, he still got the crap beat out of him.
Oh yeah.
And he still would get hit.
Oh yeah.
And
I enjoyed this
it's
sense of
lucky
danger.
It was a tech thing because then Ned wouldn't have been there to shoot the web at him anyway.
Yeah.
So it's lucky that it was not. I don't know. That's just what drives me nuts is because anyone could use that. What makes Peter Parker
I
special.
honestly think the high-tech suit was too much. I liked it when
the first one or the Iron Man, the Avengers Spider-Man suit. I mean, I guess
the one he had at the beginning of the movie.
I know, it's like had 500 different web things. I'm like, that's cool to think about.
That's a video game right there.
It wasn't supposed to access those yet, though. The suit was supposed to help hone into his part of it.
The whole thing is, Spider-Man had a handmade suit. It was years and years before Tony gave him a spider suit.
He's already a few years into this.
No, it was like 25 years before he ever hooked up with Tony Stark in the comics. So
when he's like, if you're nothing without this suit, then you shouldn't need him. Like, exactly. This is what
maybe
makes
20
Spider-Man
years.
Spider-Man, and you just ruined it all.
Yeah.
Well, he took the suit away and he proved himself without the suit. He showed his abilities there.
Like that he had the non-techie Spider-Man suit, which still. Come on, even in the comic books, he made his Spider-Man suit look like Spider-Man suit, not a hoodie.
I think they were trying to
sock puppet.
Well, look at the Andrew Garfield. There's no way Andrew Garfield made the one that he was running around in that fast.
Well, not to mention Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
Well, Tobey Maguire's was a slow build-up at least.
Yeah. We had a montage.
And
He did it.
You need a montage. If there's a montage, it's okay.
So, I mean, I was okay with it, but I liked that he went back to that suit because then he had to really fight.
I think that was the point, was to give him that.
I know. But then again, he still didn't have the Spidey sense, and it was just... That's one of the cool things about Spider-Man.
It could be something that'll develop in as he's learning his abilities.
I hope so, because if not, I think this is one of the weaker Spider-Man characters.
Because I think that was part of the point of Iron Man, is he's trying to teach him, Tony's teaching him how to use his abilities, but then they're trying to give him tech to help him
master, like use them in a higher ability.
See, but I think that's
love
a
The
handicap.
fact that he is actually a kid and you see him growing. I would
Yeah.
be surprised if we see him growing into a spider sense, like developing it.
Yeah,
over
that's what he
time.
said. He's going to develop his powers as he's going. That's why he was supposed to be training. Tony is trying to give him something to track him so they could keep him safe, because Tony was worried about him, if you've noticed.
I know. I just think that's like giving
And
a
Tony
kid.
was listening to all the voicemails. He knew everything that kid had been up to. He'd been watching this. So even though Happy hadn't been responding, Tony had been watching that kid super intensely.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's literally. I don't know. I like Spider-Man from the comics and the cartoons because he had to learn everything on his own. Every mistake, every fumble, every fall, every failure. And now, yeah, we're kind of seeing that, but at the same time, he has this giant training wheel / helper, which is called whatever he named that suit.
I'll tell you one
Karen.
thing.
Karen.
I will tell you one thing. As far as when he messed up in the middle of the film, like that hurt me so bad.
No,
As soon
that
as
was
the FBI
good.
showed up, I was like, oh wow, he's really. I can see why he loses the suit.
Yeah.
In the trailers,
No,
I
that
kept
was
saying,
good.
Why would he be losing the suit? Like, what could he possibly do?
Yeah.
Oh, look, a big FBI. Oh, yeah.
He interfered with an FBI sting.
And then it's his fault that the boat gets cut right in half. Spoiler.
No, I mean, that was
Now
a
you
good
say it.
emotional pivot that they had.
Lucasfilm.
That was a complication. That was an emotional pivot. That was great. I'm the storyline is good. They hit every beat. It was well crafted. There's just those small things as a Spider-Man fan that are missing. That's like, I don't know.
I do miss those things, but
But
and this is
again,
one
I'm
thing-
hopeful. I'm hopeful for the second one. We'll see what happens.
See, it's just a different
I mean,
interpretation. but
there-
it was a fun.
Well,
There
is the
are-
Vulture going to protect his identity, do you think? Because he did to
The
start,
Vulture
but will
does
he?
know who Peter is.
I
And
know,
that
but
that
did
is
you-
comic book accurate.
The after credit scene, he denied knowing who he was. Do you think he'll be able to keep that?
Oh yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's Michael Keaton.
Well,
It's
not
Michael
that.
Keaton.
The Vulture does keep
I did
that,
love seeing him like
as
that.
does Norman Osborn. I mean, Norman Osborn eventually becomes a Green Goblin, and he knows he's Peter Parker, and he keeps that, even though he's insane when he becomes a Green Goblin. He does keep that
Knowledge is
intact. And yeah, exactly knowledge power. Again,
And
why
I think he
Peter?
did it to
Why
protect
Pete?
his family as well because if it got out.
Yeah,
then
and
it could
that
affect
again,
his
that's
and
even
stuff.
more reason why Spider-Man protects who he is and doesn't take that mask off, because there are a few villains that do know who he is. And Venom has gone after Aunt May and Mary Jane multiple times. So
I don't know. Put him at the common sense level. The current modern day 14, 15-year-old, he matches on par with what you're going to go find in a high school.
But,
so they built
but
a,
he's not
a character
normal
to
14, 15-year-old because of the traumatic event that happens with Uncle Ben, because instead of stopping a robber, that robber eventually goes and kills his uncle.
Well, yeah.
Which just puts him in emotional turmoil, and what sets up for why he is Spider-Man. I like McKay said, I think that really is lacking. You don't feel that sense of duty from this Spider-Man
Well,
because
because
we've
of
seen
that.
it so many times. We've seen the origin story.
Yeah, and
I
everybody was
understand. We don't
complaining
have to
about that,
see that.
actually. Is there were people that hadn't even gone to see Spider-Man yet. They go, I don't want to go see this again. We need to stop killing Uncle Ben. I was like, have you watched? Like, you haven't seen the movie if you think we kill Uncle Ben again.
Well, no.
I wasn't saying show up, but like have that feeling.
Have
there.
that
like, they didn't
feeling.
even
Like,
they
even a
completely ignored it.
flashback memory or a conversation.
Even the conversation
Even when
you
he
have
was
between him
talking,
and Aunt May.
yeah, when
Like,
he's like,
and
I
just something
lost.
like you both lost someone very close, and you act like, hey.
Well, like
buddy,
when he's
nothing,
sitting
bro.
down there saying, oh, I lost the Stark internship. And she, and they could have had a moment there. But like, it's not as bad as when we lost Uncle Ben. But we even came back from that. You can come back from that. That would have made a perfect moment.
See,
just
there
to
has to be a
slip
reason, though, they
something in there.
didn't delve in, because they did slip in the loss, but they don't ever explain it, and they don't ever say his name.
But they don't even
then,
really.
Even in Civil War, they did the same thing. So I wonder if there's some kind of contract.
Which
broken
I totally
or-
could
Mm-hmm.
actually believe, and that actually, because also with the Osborns missing, I know they didn't need him in the story, but like not even a mention was a little weird because they're also always a part of Spider-Man and everything. So it's just weird having things that you feel like are pretty common
Well,
with that. not
Harry
be there.
doesn't come in till later. He can come in the second movie because he was a transfer student.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seemed. I feel like it was missing a lot of things from Spider-Man that were like. Are they telling that because they just hope everyone gets that, or they just forgot and they're like, whoops?
I mean, you saw Kitty Brandt.
I
I mean,
don't know.
she was on the news,
The
all
news,
straight
yeah.
face, and I mean, she eventually goes on to be at the Daily Bugle as well.
Yeah.
I mean, there were some Easter eggs throughout it.
Oh my gosh, I love the principal. That was like my favorite Easter egg. You guys noticed, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I did.
Okay,
Explain
so
it.
the principal was actually I think it was like the grandson or son of one of Captain America's militia.
You saw the photo up on the
army.
Yeah,
And
I
he's
noticed
the same
that.
actor,
It's the
Jim
same
Morita.
actor, yeah.
But yeah,
Cool. That's fun.
so that was
Yeah,
kinda
I
fun.
noticed
I
that
didn't notice that.
because I saw the picture and I'm like, oh, that's where they're connecting
That's
that.
funny. That's
Yeah.
cool.
It was just like one of those little fun.
Well, I
throwaway
mean,
kind of
in
things, but
Ultimate
it's
Spider-Man,
really
it's Phil Coulson
Yeah.
for a while, so I liked how they at least try to tie something in.
fun. Oh, what are they called? I'm gonna have to
The
hang on my
Howling-
note. The Howling Commandos. Yes.
Yeah.
So it was a Howling Commando, which was just awesome, and I'm glad that he didn't actually have a line about that because that would have made it super
Yeah.
cheesy. But just having that in the background.
No, it was good.
It was perfect.
One of the other things that I forgot to mention too, and it has to do with, I guess, them building up everything,
Uh-huh.
but Donald Glover was totally wasted. I feel like it was kind of unnecessary. He showed up for the one fake gang deal and I'm like, yo, go
I
to the
feel
ferry at 3, and that was it. I'm like, you really needed him for that?
I feel like they're setting up for the sequel though, that he'll come back
No,
as Aaron Davis.
I
as the
think he's
Prowler.
just a cameo. He's just a wasted
feel
cameo.
that.
He just
I
wanted to
hope
be.
so,
You don't
because
think
I
they're
guess
setting
that
up
would
the
make
Prowler?
sense, but
He's
that
n-
was
he-
like so minuscule. Like, you didn't.
I don't think he was anyone important.
Like,
He just wanted to be in Spider-Man. They threw him in,
yeah.
gave him a part, and that was
So
it.
you don't believe that we'll see the Prowler show up as Aaron Davis?
No, I don't think he'll be the Prowler.
And what about his nephew?
Mm-mm.
You don't think we'll see
I don't think he will be
I don't
anyone
know.
important.
It could be. I just felt like they made it seem like kind of a big deal, and then I'm like, he wasn't needed
Yeah.
in that at
No,
all.
literally, he wasn't.
He was in the 2 scenes, and I was like, meh.
I was okay with it. If I was a big name actor, I would push for stuff like that.
To be in it.
Yeah.
That's fair. If it was his choice, okay, I thought they were getting it to be like, hey, come see this, and then it was like...
Wasn't there originally a rumor that he was going to be the new Spider-Man? Or like the fans were pushing for him to be the new Spider-Man?
Something like that.
To
yeah.
be Miles?
Like years ago.
So I've got this website up. I don't know how accurate it is. It's talking about the restrictions that they were handed. They were very specifically told they had to have a Caucasian Spider-Man and restricted
Yeah.
down to how his character was supposed to be. So I think a lot of what you're missing, I think, was Sony locking down to see how this was going to play out.
Totally true, because if they're going to make this other type of Spider-Verse without Spider-Man, and they need all these characters in it, then...
But the Spider-Sense, do they... What?
I don't know.
I can understand.
And if they bring the Spider-Man into the
I don't know.
Venom stuff, I don't know.
We'll
how that
see.
works out.
We'll see where it goes. I did like it. I'm excited to see
We
what
need more
happens
Sony
in the
email
second
links
one
is what we need.
because it
The
was
second
really
one is
well
still
done.
after all Avengers, Infinity War, and everything like that, so it'll be part of Phase 4 stuff.
Yeah. So we'll see. With Mac McGregor, Gregan being set up for Scorpion, Shocker, Tomb's final scene was great. If you want to wait till the very end to see Captain America, I thought that was fantastic the way they handled it.
I love that.
How
Yeah,
could you
because
be
they were
pissed
like-
about that?
Because they were expecting
want
something to tie into Thor or to Infinity War.
I just love the
I
fact
think
that it was
perfect.
Captain America going, patience.
I know. Well,
It's
yeah,
virtue.
literally, like, trolling the entire audience. and everything.
That was what was so fantastic about it. It was trolling the audience because everyone now is so in tune to wait till the very end to see what happens in the next movie. And I think it was beautiful the way they handled that, talking about patience. And sometimes it just doesn't work out, and it sucks. And I thought it was fantastic. And then he's like, how many more of these do we got to do? It was just beautiful.
I know Hook was like, it's better than shawarma. And then Chris, who does our Spider-Man for our group, was like, it wasn't better than shawarma. What are you two? And the two of them duked it out on Facebook. I was like, really? Chris hated it. But every one of us that saw it were like, it was awesome because it wasn't like expected. It was totally thrown you off.
Well, it was completely different, and it was trolling all of us.
Well, and the
Really.
fact it was the same video pretty much that had been ran twice throughout the movie.
No, we'd been seeing
Rule
all
3,
these.
Rule 3 comedy, man.
We've been seeing all these little Captain America videos. There were moral videos, kind
So
of like
you
the
got
more you
detention.
know at the end of all your GI Joes. That's the
Yeah.
another reason I thought it was perfect. It was like that. The more you know, or that you saw at the end of Transformers and the end of GI Joe. So it was
The
kind
stuff
of
when we were
back
kids to
that.
teach
Yeah.
us.
Yep.
Oh, it sounds almost like we're starting to wrap this up, so I do want to have
We
one
do have
last
to wrap
throw
this
out.
up.
I want to have one last throw out before we do, and that was the fact that something that's always bothered me in all of these cartoons and comics is that they've always had these high-tech, fancy lasers that they're always shooting at our heroes with. And I appreciated that with this movie, they not only explained it, but went into depth of explaining how the villains of this world have gotten these high-tech
That was
gadgets.
I do agree
Yes.
with that. I
really
do like
appreciate
that. because it was the alien technology from.
Well, I like that
first
they
Avengers
broke it
and that.
apart, and Spider-Man and his buddy there are like, this is partial human, like modern
Anyone-
stuff. This is
anyone
alien,
notice-
like
did
mixed
anyone
together.
notice Ultron's head.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and well, wait,
Well, that was
it-
an Ultron head. That wasn't the, was it?
It was Ultron's head. So
Well,
we
there
don't-
was.
But it was one of the many models.
Was
right?
it?
I don't know. I just thought the whole thing was
That's true.
funny.
Just when it fell out, I was like, that's
Well, because
funny.
it was on the plane, right? So it was coming from Stark Tower.
Yeah.
Which means that
It was probably Ultron's head if it was from Stark Tower.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like how long it took them
saw
to
it.
respond to that plane crashing down. Happy's just sitting there. He's like, wait, you see this flame? And you just see this like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
Look where they
Because he
took
just
the
hung
ball
up
egg
on
and took out that giant
Peter.
beach house. I was like,
So
oh,
all
They
right.
like to crash right there by that Ferris wheel. They like to
Yeah.
do stuff to that
Well,
Ferris
it's
wheel.
because it's an awesome scene, I guess. All right, so real quick, what are your grades for this movie? We'll go around.
We're doing letter grades?
Yep, letter grades.
Let's go B+ then, because I really did like it. I love Spider-Man. He's my favorite superhero, so it's still really good. It wasn't my favorite, but still a really good movie.
Scott.
A. Solid
Alright.
A. Not A+, but solid A. I love the characters. I love the acting. I love the interpretation. And if you think about it as an Earth 23, Earth 75, whatever in the multiverse, this is just another interpretation. I feel like they did an amazing justice, unlike so many other reboots from other franchises that we've seen lately in these multiverse kind of situations. It was amazing. I loved it. Had fun in it.
I'm right with Scott on this one. It's an A, like all over. They did a good job of relating it to modern day teenagers, which gives another outlet to kind of bring comics back into them because the times are changing. They're all just obsessed with their cell phones and won't get off of them. This gives them a character they can now relate to versus seeing, okay, well, he's supposed to be a high school student, but he doesn't look like a high school student, nor does he act like a high school student. We got a guy looks like one and acts like one, totally on par with them. It gives them more of a relation, more relatable, and something to build into.
Awesome. I'm going to go with an A-. Not quite an A, just because with Flash, no Spidey sense, MJ, yeah, just kind of drags it a little bit down, but still a really good movie. Still awesome enough to go see and want to see it again. So, all right. So with that said, we're out of here.
It's morphin' time.
Spidey sense is tingling.
But it wasn't, Scott. It wasn't.
There was no Spidey sense.
It's tingling now.
That's something else. That's the burn.
Just because the world is without fuel doesn't mean it can't burn. Union Forest has unleashed a dragon upon the world, and it's hungry. Henry Morgan has to save his brother and face the dragon. Check out The Shadows Above the Flames, written by our very own Daniel Swinton and published by Immortal Works. You can find your copies on Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, or anywhere books are sold. So go get your copy today and find out what happens to Henry and Rick.